Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have a VeChain, VET on the exchange video for you guys today. It's one of my favorite projects. We'll go into a bit more detail about that in a second. Before we do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and welcome to the channel if you're new, and of course welcome back if you have been with us for some time, edging towards the 11,000 subscriber mark. Thank you so much for the support, and we love having you guys here, of course. So VeChain, guys, one that I've been holding for some time, way back from 2020. It's a project that I came about through the likes of Cheeky Crypto, another great YouTube channel out there, Nick and Chris. If you're listening or have people that know that channel, I've been trying a while, trying to do a joint video. That'd be pretty awesome if someone can help me out there. But of course, they've been massive advocates of VeChain for some time. I know they do quite a bit with the team as well, Q&As, etc. But yeah, for me, not just having those guys kind of promote that particular asset, for me it was very interesting from the supply chain management perspective, from the history that I have in industry experience personally, through distribution and how supply chain logistics works. It really opened my eyes to how blockchain and tokenization of the trade areas or the industry can really enhance over the years to come, utilizing blockchain DLT. And VeChain has a number of various arms to it. Of course, there's the aspect of the digital identity areas, the information that comes out over the last few years around traceability of assets, commodities, pretty much everything, and that whole tracking ability of being able to see where something has come from, the sustainability factors, which is obviously very important from the ESG perspective, the agenda and narratives around that leading up to 2030, and particularly, albeit these guys have, the offices are building all over the world right now, which is absolutely exciting for VeChain to see that expansion. Obviously originating around in the Asian regions, branching itself out, which is fantastic. And you need to do that. Obviously, if you're a global entity working in supply chain, you have to have areas of interest across the globe. Of course, massive exporters in those areas for many decades. Now has this fruition of blockchain ability, technology above it to really enhance it. And of course, here in the UK, as I've mentioned many times, but if you're new, of course, you may not have heard about this, the ETDA, so it's the Electronic Trade Distribution Act, going ahead from the 20th of September, just gone here in the UK, passed by law, now in, very much going ahead and having those ecosystems built. The SMEs are getting involved, businesses worldwide, updating their processes, the ability to trade and buy and sell on markets, as well as the whole supply chain mechanism being improved through this as well. Becomes even more of an appropriate topic. And VeChain has been around for a few years now. It's evolved. It's certainly focused specifically more so than ever before on these particular areas, and the timing is perfect. More and more countries, like here in the UK, will be following suit in regards to new acts and laws going through their parliaments respectively in their own regions and countries to push this next generation of technology advancement in the supply chain sphere. And we're talking about trillions upon trillions of dollars. I mean, trade finance in general, guys, and we're talking about like $19 trillion market. It's absolutely huge. But if you can imagine how much gets transferred logistically every day worldwide. I live here in the south coast of England. I watch the cargo ships. I love sitting on a very nice bench in Old Portsmouth and watch the boats come in like most days. It's relaxing. But the amount of cargo ships that come either through to Portsmouth or round the back towards the Isle of Wight, towards Southampton, is absolutely phenomenal. And they're usually obviously those big container ships. Of course, there's a multitude of different variations of trade. As I said, commodities. Of course, you've got food, produce, etc. But anything and everything can be transported, whether it's sea, air, or train indeed. And that traceability factor becomes massively important in the sense of being able to justify things, have the smart contract ability to very much measure what's going through in and out processing, the automation of it, reducing cost, speeding up the efficiency, speeding up the economy, essentially, in regards to how things can be paid quicker as well, and processed and so on and so forth, delivered, etc. It's really interesting. So they're the kind of like reasons behind, or some of the reasons behind, why I'm so interested and excited about VeChain for a long time. We'll go into the price point because I'll show you what I missed out on in the bull run, in terms of not taking advantage of those profit aspects and then buying back in. It's certainly a learning curve. It was greed, naivety at the time, perhaps lack of management and my mindset on that. But one of the key things that's going to help me this time round is this. So in the last few days, officially, finally, the VeWorld app, if you like, the extension that you can download on Chrome, and there's a couple of other different wallets that you can use, but for the self-custody purpose, I was very happy to be able to take finally my tokens off the exchange and into a self-custody wallet that's in my power via my ledger. So I can have the full management of that. It's in my possession. It's my responsibility, of course, which is potentially gone if I lose passwords or anything like this. But that's ultimately the part of decentralization, the opportunity to hold your own assets, your own keys, and take full ownership of that. So there's an opportunity now to have all my VeChain on this wallet, which is great, and it still obtains the VeThor token, which is the fuel aspect of the chain itself, how it fuels itself. That you can still obtain that in the holdings of that, and it shows you the calculations. Unfortunately, I can't show you mine because the extension, it doesn't quite show it on the browser collectively on this window. But here's an initial idea of this. It's very self-explanatory, what you'd expect from any other self-custody wallet, to be honest. But the ability to utilize your ledger if you wanted to. There's multiple other areas or ways of accessing this and managing it. But of course, you can hold your VeThor on there as well. Just bear in mind that some exchanges ask for quite a lot of fees worth of V4 to pull across, and sometimes it's not worth it. So I've just kept a lot of it in exchange, but a lot of it's come across. And it, as I said, if you've got the VeChain, as you would with most exchanges, if you've got that in your wallet, it will obtain and create that VeThor in your wallet as well as you hold it in there. So the usual suspects of QR codes and things to send and receive your VeChain into this wallet. As I said, me personally, I'm using my ledger because I then have the keys fully in my possession as well. And there's the ability to hold other dApps and NFTs and things like that that are built on the VeChain system. So it keeps it all in one place for you. And again, my main focus really was to get as many assets off exchange as possible. And of course, yes, when the bull run comes in, I will probably transfer that across at some point in proportions. But the point being is right now that I try and access or manage as much as I can myself. Again, that's not for everyone. Some people just like to keep on exchange for ease, but they always say that expert saying of not your keys, not your coins, as it were. So that's why I do it. But I'm pleased to see this come out properly now. I've had it for a while. I don't know whether that's a beta stage or not, but they've kind of like officially announced it this last week. So check it out. It's free to download, obviously, through the Chrome extension. I think it might be available on some other platforms as well. I'm not sure. But yes, of course, all helping towards the aspect of decentralization within Web3. And again, that utilization of self-custody is quite important for me personally, to manage and hold them securely rather than on exchanges that could do crazy things at any time or hold your tokens and not let you take them out, etc., etc. So very interesting indeed. I mean, I think there's lots of positive things coming out of VeChain over the last 12 months or so. I quite like the way that they adapted themselves and evolved themselves to be more in line with one focal point, or certainly a couple of areas of interest rather than loads. I think you'll find that from a lot of chains the next couple of years, where they've gone from this whole like diverse portfolio of solutions that they can build, and actually now identifying which ones are they actually really good at, because all these chains can boast all these things anyway. It's not like a new thing anymore, and that's why I think as you see these bubbles of companies coming out of fruition in crypto and blockchain ability, it's now at that stage where development's majorly occurring, and the ethos of like what is our resource availability and how can we utilize our company with the resource that we got without going crazy. And then of course defining yourselves over the next 5-10 years with the adaptation of the real world application, the utility of the token. And that's where I think VeChain particularly in trade finance, logistics, supply chain management, etc., which is gigantic markets and gigantic amounts of utility on a daily basis around the world. It's very important for me to keep accumulating VeChain. I think it's going to be one of the top projects in the next bull run, as it was in the last one, albeit that it's had a quiet time in the last year, and that's a good thing for an accumulator for sure of the VET token, which we'll go on to right now actually. So the current price point of the VeChain token is 1.6 cents as of recording. It's had a bit of a bumpy ride the last couple of months, with opportunities for those that do short-term trading to take advantage of those particular up and down areas. I mean, more recently, the upward trend up here in July took it up to 2 cents. It's made itself back all the way down, but you can see there's a multitude of options there. And actually, the last video that we did on VeChain around this sort of 1.5 cent mark, it's not too far off to where it is right today, but we made a point here that actually up to its next all-time high is a good 1,695% gain opportunity there. But I do anticipate VeChain to be coming a lot higher than that. We could anticipate potentially at least the very minimum of 45 cents on those long-term fib levels, maybe even 72 cents, which is a whopping 4,600% increase to the next stage. It really depends on the utility, the increased advancement of VeChain as a technology and as a project. But for sure, I've got my eyes at least on this 45 cents. I will be taking sell-off positions near the time of when we get to that previous all-time high, around 26-30 cents for sure. Not making that mistake again. Bit of context there, guys. I was buying VeChain in 2020, as I said, off the back of watching Cheeky Crypto at the time and understanding what VeChain was about. I was sort of buying it around that 1 cent mark or just under, maybe half a cent. Accumulated quite a bit in my opinion. And I just didn't take advantage of this area, which was stupid because I was just so excited about the numbers that were growing. But I had so many things in my portfolio, and that's why I did the video the other week about my learnings over the last 5 years of having too many to manage them and keep on top of that, and then you're losing focus on certain things. That came about, and I just didn't take advantage of it. And of course, they dipped down to the market, even though it came back up, to be honest, towards that 20 cent mark. I still didn't take advantage because at that point I was like, I'll just wait. I'll just try and keep accumulating VeChain on its way down. And I was buying it at various positions at 10 cents, 5 cents, and now all the way back down to here, where I'm really interested. I'm really interested in this current area because that's relatively near or just quite near to where I was getting it back in 2020. And I think that's a point to really emphasize there, is that we are backtracking ourselves now, guys, to those interesting areas. And there's no doubt in my mind that there's still a possibility for us to come down, even lower towards that 1 cent mark, maybe even lower again, because there's just not enough data to suggest the full support levels here. And this is where we get into really intriguing times in the market, because I do think we're a good maybe year-ish off the next bull run, or at least the upward trend towards that anyway. So I think there's time, certainly in these next 3 to 6 months, to accumulate some really good bottom levels of VeChain amongst other assets. We're still in that vicinity that we drew ages and ages ago of interest. This is my kind of like big buying area between this 2 cent and this sort of 1.5 cent mark. Yes, as I said, it can still dip down lower than that. That's why we got these buy limit orders around the 1 cent mark as well. Again, reiterating that point that way back here in 2020 and 2021, or leading up to that respectively, there's just not enough points here to suggest, oh, this is definitively a support area. There's a lot of holders of VeChain, granted. There's a lot of confidence in VeChain, which is why I think it's still giving itself a good run for its money at this kind of 1.5 area. But yes, as I said, don't be too surprised to see those potential 1.2 cent areas, or maybe even lower, even if it's just for a short period of time. But you see the trend is clear here. We've been in this downward movement for some time. Yes, we've had the upward trends here in little mini cycles over a few weeks or a month's period, but ultimately that trend line has been dropping itself very slowly. But what's interesting in the last few weeks is the stability at this current area of interest between sort of 1.5, 1.8 cents. So good accumulation opportunities. Is not financial advice, just what I'm looking at and what I'm doing personally. RSI's on the bottom left here, 47 on the 14-day, 47 on the 28-day. I'd like to see that a bit lower before I accumulate a bit more. That would, in theory, take it down again, roughly to around that 1.4, 1.5 cent mark. But in all honesty, in the grand scheme of things, what I'm trying to accumulate here, whether it's 1.4, 1 cent, 1.6, it's not make a huge difference. I'm a long-term holder of VeChain. If you're a short-term holder, absolutely makes a difference depending on the valuation of what you're putting in. and how many you're buying, etc. But for me as a long-term holder, it's not gigantically important. It's just nice to get those little wins, and it's good practice in my personal opinion. Again, and what I try to do is that practice method of removing emotion, not thinking too much about it, and just thinking more strategically about it. So that's where I kind of get the win in my head. Even if I'm a long-term holder, it doesn't make much difference buying, as I said, at 1.5, 1 or 2 in the long grand scheme of things. But from the strategic approach and the learning method, it's actually quite a good thing to do. That's what I do anyway. Performance side on the right hand side here, it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's not great either way, to be honest, and it's kind of like reflecting what the rest of the market is. There's no surprises here for me. It doesn't really paint a specific picture in any way either. And to be honest, that full official launch of the VeWorld app hasn't really done gigantic amounts. It did have this little upward trend from the 11th of September upwards. So taking it from that sort of 1.4, 1.5 to 1.8, again, if you're short-term holder, you might have made some good advantage of that. But outside of that, we're not really going to see huge significant changes, I don't think, in VeChain until that utility really kicks in and the switch on of all these new systems, these frameworks actually occur. So I'm very excited personally. I think it's going to be absolutely huge. As I said before, with that price range chart that we drew in, there's a great movement up towards these previous all-time highs at 30 cents. Some people always ask, like, how much VeChain should I hold? Well, it really depends on your gain mentality, like what you want to achieve out of that. I'm not here to say, oh, you need 100,000 of them, you need 1 million of them, whatever it is. I think it's just down to what you're capable of being able to invest. You know, they always say invest in what you can afford to lose, and they're definitely key risk management factors, dollar cost averaging, etc. Again, not financial advice, just opinions and thoughts and how I've been doing things. But I think it's just really important to understand that there's a big opportunity here over the coming years, and even up to 2030, guys. There will be another cycle in between this period of time. It's not going to finish in 2025. There'll be another one as we reach those UN goals, particularly the World Economic Forum goals of 2030. I think it's going to be a very exciting 6-7 years ahead, but certainly giant opportunities around 2025 when, you know, new RTGS systems kick in, new financial trade systems kick in properly. Businesses are getting heavily involved. This is where the utility and development really occurs on chains. Exciting times ahead, guys. Let us know what you think about VeChain in the comments below. I, for one, am very excited about this project. I'm great to see the wallet finally launched officially. Let me know what you think about that when you download it. Any questions, or if you want a tutorial of how to use it, let me know. As I said, I just need to adjust some settings, I think, in OBS for me to be able to capture that window specifically to do that. But let me know if you want that. I'll definitely get it done. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next VeChain update video. Take care. Bye bye.